Are we rolling? This is Freedom Phil, like to subscribe. Is it time to build the battle domes? What do you mean battle domes? Let me tell you a story. Recently, there was an old lady in Seattle that got assaulted by a crazy homeless guy that had been arrested numerous times. In fact, he had stabbed somebody multiple times. There had been a number of times this crazy homeless person had literally been a problem. Now, I say, along with him, you should throw the judges, the DAs, and some of the cops that know this is happening into the battle dome. And I do understand person's civil rights, but I'm going to tell you why this type of thing is happening in blue cities more and more. Because we pay for it. We subsidize it. Not we, not you and me, but like when you live in one of these blue states, these people with their toxic empathy, they literally vote to make this stuff happen. I'll tell you how the system works. Yeah, Freedom Phil, like, subscribe. Let's get into it. Hey, turn up the video speed. And this is definitely not a topic for children. So if you're letting your kids watch anything on the internet, you're a shitty parent. I'm just sitting there looking at it and thinking to myself, I'm like, there's no rehabilitation for this guy. This guy literally was walking around with a nail bat, and he just randomly, this old lady was waiting to cross the street, and this guy just randomly takes this thing, swings it, and the nail part went into her fucking eye. Into her eye. She's gonna need reconstructive surgery, and she ain't never getting that eye back. Now, she's like a 70-year-old woman, you know? But like, I don't know, maybe all you boomers, all you old boomers should get off your ass and start voting more realistically. Maybe we should do the battle domes. Like, and people are like, why the battle domes? So I'm gonna tell you something. I do not see why we should waste tens of thousands of dollars a year keeping a motherfucker like that incarcerated. I don't. Like, I understand the idea of trying to help people. But like, you think about it from this perspective. I said it before and I'll say it again. You can get an online degree, 4-year degree for about 16 grand or less. How many people could you have educated? How many people could you have put through trade school? Got a skill for those people? How many people could have been educated? Like, it's like $40,000, $50,000 coming soon, 60 grand to keep a convict in jail. That crazy guy will always be fucking crazy. Now imagine if that crazy guy, you know, they're like, well, fuck it. You know, we're either using you as a lab rat for a new you know, pills and drugs and shit. You know, like I say, do that to murderers and lifetime sentencers. Or you can be in the battle dome. You can fight for your life. And I say, put the judges that let that guy out. Put the DAs that let that guy, the police that knew this was a threat. And I understand people have civil rights, but it's pretty fucked up when you got crazy people walking around, paid for by the government, by the way. Oh, y'all don't know that, do you? Let me tell you something about how the system works in a lot of these blue states. And in fact, red states have it too. There's redneck welfare all over the fucking place. Guys will be faking for a crazy check because they can't get the kids. Women will just crank out a kid and get on Section 8. The way guys do it is, I have the ahutahas, I can't handle. I got 5, 6 friends back on the West Coast that all faked crazy because it was easier to get a crazy check of $1,000 a month than it was to get a job. So basically what ends up happening is $1,000, like you get like $800 of money, maybe 600 to 800. And then, you know, 200-300 in food stamps and some crappy health care. I guess it's better than no health care. But these people will get on benefits. And that's not enough to ever get you an apartment. That guy was like roaming around the streets of Seattle. Do you think for $700 a month, you can afford an apartment in Seattle? No. But $700 a month will buy you a lot of drugs. Y'all don't hear me. That guy that was walking around with the nail bat, that took the nail bat to the old woman's head, his drug habits were being paid for by you, the taxpayer. And all because you got a lot of bleeding heart liberals in these cities. And look, I'm not I'm a libertarian. Laid back libertarian. I know I get kind of animated at times, but I'm a laid back libertarian. I think both parties have good and bad. But right now, when you see the shit that's been going on, a lot of these, what used to be gems, it used to really be the Emerald City, and Portland used to be the Rose City. But you see more and more problems, and just this slow, decrepit, you know, just the slow rot of what we're otherwise. And by the way, you know, if you really get down to why these problems are the way that they are, We live in a society that has slowly just paid for everything via inflation. So instead of paying taxes, they just print money because nobody wants to pay taxes. But everybody just is, everybody just kind of ignores inflation. So then the cost of housing goes up, and then the junkies that used to actually function, like your old smoker stony types that used to work jobs dishwashing or doing whatever, they could actually have a job and pay for a little bungalow apartment. The problem is when we've got to the point where that little bungalow apartment now costs an insane amount. So we need to build, take some buildings and build storage room unit size apartments where people can get back on their feet, or at least young people can afford to work those fucking underpaying jobs in the city and have a good hefty profit. We don't have that. But if you give somebody that's on the underclass $1,000 a month, you know what's going to happen? Well, shit, if you got an RV or you're living in a tent, you're not gonna get to anything better than that. But you will have a lot of drugs. And those people are frying their fucking brains. They fried their goddamn brains. And what ends up happening is that then they're out on the streets. And some of them, they got low impulse control. They're ready to fight when they're normal. They get high, they're walking around, and then this old lady just stand there at the crosswalk getting ready to wait to cross the street. And this guy takes a fucking nail bat. And the nail bat part goes through her goddamn eye. She's going to need reconstructive surgery. She ain't never getting that eye back. And you, City of Seattle, State of Washington, American taxpayer are subsidizing this shit to happen. So I say, fuck all this shit of trying to recover this dude. We should make some money back on the dude. Put him in the battle dome. He should fight for his fucking life. And put all the fucking DAs and judges that consistently let this guy out back on the street. Oh, how about all your soft-hearted therapy types? Hey, we're trying to get him to, get his life together. Oh, yeah, he's really going to get his life together when he's living in a fucking tent on the streets of Seattle and buying like $800, however much in drugs. Meanwhile, he's stealing this, doing that. Take all the motherfuckers that enable this guy, because let's be honest, those people are enabling murderers. Yeah, they're like, well, what do you mean? What do you mean they're enabling murderers? When you let out people that are complete psychos, and I understand, there's rule of law, you have rights, but when you have a guy that's consistently out there assaulting people, the guy stabbed people multiple times. When you let these people out just to roam free, sooner or later, they're going to do some fuck shit. What do you do with that type of person? You can't just ship them off to El Salvador. Shit. I'm saying, you take some of the most violent, crazy people, and I say this with the death sentencers and the life sentencers, send them to the battle dome. Or send them to be, testing for fucking pills and shit. Pharmaceutical testing. That's horrible. Yeah? Is it? Maybe people would fuck around less if they knew, hey, wait a minute, you might end up on pay-per-view. Gladiatorial combat. Oh, you're going to pay your debt back to society. Yeah, I mean, I understand that you're trying to help people get off the streets and you give them that crazy check, but it doesn't work. It doesn't work. Because, okay, let me tell you where it would work. If you took that crazy check and you lived as cheap as possible, you could move out to the Midwest. Where, I saw a house in Hutchinson, Kansas. It was a 3-bedroom, 1-bath. It was gutted out, ready to be remodeled. It was 20 grand. There are places in America where you could get some cheap land. But the problem is most of the people that you're giving these checks to, they're never going to leave their local area because they know once they leave, they're going to have to get their shit together and get a job. And the problem is once those people get a little too hooked on those bad drugs, then their brain gets all fried and they're fucked for life. And then the only thing, hopefully, they're a peaceful, crazy person. But trust me, there are people out there that are just a little off tilt that are perfectly sane and normal, that are just prone to anger. What happens when that person's been on drugs for X amount of years? Yeah, then they're just walking around. And here's the thing. You victimize all the normal tax-paying people every time you let that motherfucker walk the streets. Now, I know a lot of people say, well, you're a little wild. You live in a van in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, I'm a peaceful homeless dude that owns a home, ironically. You know, did a remodel on it. Can't stand living in it. Well, it's cold up there also. Why the fuck would you want to be there? Actually, on 3 lots, three different properties. And I just mind my own out in the middle of nowhere in the waste. You know? People like me are not the problem. But people like me recognize the problem. Just like what I used to say about when I was living on the West Coast, when I was moving garbage for a living, and I basically every night I'd switch spots. Before sundown, I'd go and park. Okay, like sundown happens, go park at one of my spots, and then before sun comes up, I'd be going to work. I couldn't stand these uncouth homeless motherfuckers because guess what? Most of the public, they don't see a difference between me and them. I'm an ogre of a man. They just look at me as a problem. The only thing that would maybe give me some protection was the fact that, I had, I'd be working a job. They could see my suit, my outfit, whatever, my, what do you call it? Work clothing. I was working for a garbage company driving a garbage truck. But other than that, they're just like these homeless people. No, uncouth homeless going out there doing crazy shit, assaulting people, trashing things, graffitiing things. They're the goddamn problem. But all of us get lumped in together. And all the laws are made basically against my people because of maybe 2 to 5% of the fucking problems. It's just like places I used to camp that now have like barricades, like they have like ecology blocks or they have a logging gate. Like you go up there and you're like, before the places got shut down, you'd see people leaving their junkie needles around. Or they leave their garbage. You see people leaving house-style garbage. Like you drove all the way up this goddamn logging road to party with your friends and you just threw your trash out. Couldn't you have just thrown it in a fire? Or couldn't you have just like thrown it in someone's dumpster? Like I feel like guys like me that are like just van lifers, truckers or van lifers, we're basically, our habitat every year gets a little more destroyed because of the fucking problems coming out from the cities. These situations where basically these homeless people that are getting subsidized and they're subsidized drug addicts. They go out onto the streets and they terrorize some people, and then maybe finally some of these damn cities. They're never. By the way, Seattle's never going to grow a fucking spine. They never will. They're still going to vote left. It doesn't until it happens. Okay, their family's going to vote Republican. Maybe a few of their friends or people at their church, assuming they even go to church, are going to vote Republican. Or they're just going to vote for the next leftist that happens to say, well, we're going to get tough on crime. Bullshit. They never do. Look, that state, when I was a kid, I remember I was born in 1980, so in the late 80s, that was the last time that state was like maybe somewhat conservative. It has been run by these Democrats pretty much my whole goddamn life, with the exception, like the big cities have always been run by the Democrats, but the counties are red. The reason that there's even that state still has no state income tax is because of the red counties. So if you go out to the red counties, things are kind of normal. You got some problems, you got some meth, you got some issues out there. You go into the larger city towns, you might see some fentanyl benders. You guys ever seen that shit? It's crazy. These people just, they get off the bus and they're just like, fucking zombies. Like, fuck. You remember ages ago crack was a thing? Now it's like the fentanyl benders. And you constantly got the meth heads. You know what? I'm going to be fucking cold about this one. I've said this plan for years. I want to see Operation Raid. What do you mean, raid? You going to do raids on them? No, I want to see them poison the fucking drugs. And maybe fentanyl's doing that. Poison the drugs? Yeah. You see these people smoking a bunch of crystal? Fuck them. I don't give a shit about them. Yeah, fuck them. You know what the thing of it is? These people out there causing all these problems, like the reason I don't want to build anything on my West Coast lot is because of the fucking meth heads. The government subsidized meth heads. Oh yeah, you'll have the old lady who has some kids, living off the system, and then her Junkie Town Jerry boyfriend faking crazy. I don't think it's just the cities. But then, these people will be like, just a good old boys, but on meth. They'll be out there predicating on people's stuff when they're not. They don't get bold or brave. If they know you're there and they know you're like me, where I'm just a little off tilt, like, oh, that guy would probably shoot us. I would. They don't try to steal shit. But if you leave something for too long, there's going to be it'll either be junkies or bored teenagers that are breaking into your place. Like I remember one of my friends back in the day, they used to break into people's houses when they're on vacation. They didn't steal nothing. They just rearranged their furniture after throwing a party. I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, that's what we used to do. I'm like, that's just kind of funny. Stupid, but funny. This is before the world had cameras everywhere. But like the junkies just break into shit. So the state subsidizes this problem. And I'm saying I'm sick and tired of all of it. Operation Raid, baby. Just poison the drugs and then blame it on the cartels. That's horrible. And then with the people that have been like literally arrested multiple times for violent crimes. Hey man, we got a choice for you. You're not in society anymore. We're not going to try to turn you into a battery because nuclear is cheap, or we're not trying to do the Matrix shit. No, you got a choice. You either could be, pharmaceutical medical testing subject, and maybe even the fucking medical testing people like, we don't want to deal with that violent motherfucker. Or you get the choice of pay-per-view battle dome. And what if they don't want to do that? Oh, we could think of ways to execute you and fucking make pay-per-view. And I bet if you started doing this shit, a lot of these problems would just disappear. You get the society that you allow to exist. That's just the truth of it. You get the society you allow to exist. And I'm just like, I look at it, I'm like, when you see one of those countries out there that has a high trust society where the people aren't, assaulting people on the streets on the regular, you see that and you're like, wow, that's amazing. What's that like? Where people have some dignity and some shame and class. And you think to yourself, wow, I've never had, America is literally just this fucking bullshit casino. Everybody jerking each other off to the circus, like, look at me, I'm so fucking flashy and important. That's America. America's a fucking train wreck at this point. I mean, it's a wonderful country. And here's the truth. When you get out of these cities, you get out of the bigger zones, like you get out to the Midwest, there is affordable housing. There's sanity. Like the town I have a house up north, you don't have the drug problems there. They don't tolerate that shit. It's like kids just run around on the bikes and play like normal kids in a small town. It's like the childhood that I grew up in with modern tech. You don't have the, fentanyl benders, you don't have, like, if the meth heads are around, they are fucking hiding. They don't run around proudly displaying their issues. And that's what I'm saying, man. You could have that life back. We could have that world back. But I'm saying, you got someone who, like Nailback guy, fucking hit that old lady. He needs to go to the Battle Dome. And so does the judges, the DAs, and some of the police that have known this has been an issue. And you know what? I kind of feel 50-50 for the police on this. They are literally only enforcing the laws that we, the people, that have made. But if you're literally going to give this crazy homeless guy a check for being nuts, and he's spending that on drugs, goes to the soup kitchens, goes to the food pantries, steals stuff out of grocery stores, and then is generally a menace to everybody around. If you're literally going to subsidize this shit, man, and you're going to let that guy out multiple times, meanwhile, the cops are writing chicken shit tickets to people just trying to go to work. Yeah, put a few of these cops in the Battle Dome. Put the judge, put the DA, put them in the Battle Dome, and make it all paid per view. Meanwhile, start up Operation Raid and blame it on the fucking cartels. Yeah. Freedom Phil, like, subscribe. Let's read them. Skills are a thing. Scale. Boom. All right. Well, that's the comments read. Peace.